is about quality assurance, and it's being used throughout many industries. The X is actually a lowercase x, so it's uppercase G, lowercase x, uppercase P, and it stands for good practice. It's for good practice, quality guidelines, and regulations. What the X is for, it can be various fields. For instance, pharmaceutical, food industries. If you look at good agricultural practice, for instance, we have GAP, good agricultural practice. Um, A or C is sometimes added to the front of it, which stands for current. So, for example, you have CGMP. It's an acronym for Current Good Manufacturing Practices. So it's for quality assurances. That's what it is. The purpose of GXP quality guidelines is to make sure that the product is safe and it meets its intended use. GXP guides quality manufacturing in regulated industries, for example, drugs, medical devices, cosmetics, food. That's where you see it a lot, often, and everywhere. The most central aspects of GXP are good documentation practices, GDP, which sort of say they have to be, your documentation has to be attributable, legible, comprehensively recorded, original, accurate, and permanent. You have to keep a record of it as well. And the products of the subject of the GXP are expected to be traceable and accountable. Those are the main things that we're looking at when we're dealing with GXP. So it's a quality system. That's what it is. Now, what do we have? We have examples of GXPs. We have it in agriculture, GAP. Good auditing practice. Guess what? That's called GAP. Good business practice, GBP, etc. The list goes on and on and on. So it's a best practice for quality, best practice for quality in a good practice for quality guidelines and regulations. That's what it is. And they share some basics, all these GXPs, and that's what we're looking at here right now at the Kanban, the basics that they share. Let's have a look at the screen that's rolling across your screen right now. The GXP, what we see here is the complete Kanban in the link down below. You can find it there and play around with there as well, of the GXP Kanban and all the critical capabilities in there. Now, let me have a look at what you're looking at on your screen. You're seeing this. Yeah, you're seeing the full Kanban here. What you're seeing is a lot of colorful dots. The colorful dots mean the following. The big blue dots, those are the critical capabilities. So those are the activities that we really need to be focusing on when we deal with GXP, when we want to roll out, cover GXP. These are the activities we need to focus on. We have also have orange dots like here. Quality fabrication manager, quality engineer, training, quality analyst. Those are job roles that are related to GXP. Job roles that have responsibility and accountability in GXP. Job roles in an organization that I definitely need and want to have in place when I want to roll out and manage a GXP process, project, and have that in place. These are real actual job roles in real actual companies out there, and they're also being used a lot by the users of the Kanbans to have a have a look at the accountability that they need to be having when they enter that role, when they apply for that role. So how they actually are going to fulfill that role. That's another great way of looking at these job roles. Each job role has questions attached to it, and the questions attached to it, you'll find those in the Kanban as well. And the questions they're used in our toolkits and our books, where we roll out the maturity phases for GXP, and you can assess yourself how far you are in your maturity for GXP, low maturity to high maturity, and all in there. The other color that we're seeing here on the screen is the ping balls. And the ping balls, like here, and there's a ping ball, and there's a ping ball, there's a ping ball, there's a ping ball. Sounds like I'm saying ping ball. Ping ball. The ping balls are the questions related to each of the critical capabilities. So a critical capability has a question attached to it. And that's a control question. The control question you can ask your team, the control question you can ask in your organization, your manager, or the people that work with you. Do we really understand what we're dealing with here in GXP. Do we really have it covered? Other colors that we see here are yellow balls. I'm zooming out a bit. Yellow balls here, small yellow balls. The yellow balls are the swim lanes. If you're aware of what a Kanban is, Kanban's organized in swim lanes. These are the activities that we really need to take care of. The swim lane names are the yellow balls. So the yellow balls are the swim lane. So one keyword, all the activities in there. That's what needs to be covered in relationship to what's in that swim lane. And prioritized as well. So what the Kanban does, it has all the activities prioritized. There are close to 2,000 activities in total that need to be in place that you can check, audit, cover in GXP. And to make sure that they're all in place in the right order, they're prioritized. Prioritization is organized based on AI and machine learning that we developed and created, and it's really successful with creating and pulling out what's really important and pushing that towards the top of this really needs to be done. This is a must-have activity, the thing that you really need to be doing, and there's time to score to it. So a relevancy score. The higher the score, the further up the food chain it is, and the more must-do it is. So I'll show you some of those as well. So this is what you're looking at right now. That's the full Kanban of 2,000 activities and the relationships in between them. And another color that we see here as well is red balls. The red balls are the most important questions to ask. And that's what we're going to have a look at first. So you get a good idea of GXP, what it actually is covering. So we're going to roll out the top 3 most important questions to ask for GXP. And then we'll get to see you get a good idea of what it's related to GXP. So GXP, three most important questions to ask. How does data enter the system and how is it ultimately consumed? Where does your data come from? How do you manage your data? What is it for? Is it PII? How do you deal with data privacy? How do you know your data is legit? Are you still able to be compliant and meet data integrity requirements if anything happens? So think about scenarios and cases, what could take place that your compliancy would be undermined and your data integrity would be undermined as well. Are changes to the system controlled according to its change management process? So have a change management process in place that takes care of accountability, takes care of transparency, and make sure that there's an audit trail in there, definitely. Now, in the big hairball before, you saw how everything's connected. You'll see that here as well. If I open up this one, so how does data enter the system and how is it ultimately consumed? Make sure that you have this in place to cover that. Establish that your personnel is involved in developing and implementing GXP quality systems to meet regulatory and industry standards. And the question you can ask is, do your web application and parameter servers meet your industry's compliance and regulatory requirements? You look at this color, yellow, spoke about that, swim lane, the quality swim lane. So this is part of the quality swim lane. You see here another ball, blue ball, light blue ball, operational excellence. We haven't spoken about that one. What we have in the Kanban are related topics to the main topic. So GXP is the main topic. A related topic to GXP is operational excellence. And if I open this up, we'll see other activities that we need to be covering when we're dealing with operational excellence. So it'll give you an idea of adjacent areas that you need to be covering when you're dealing with GXP. Operational excellence, make sure you do these things as well. Okay, let's unclick that one, otherwise we'll get confused with what we're looking at on screen. You also see here, this is a must-have. That's what I spoke of earlier. The prioritization of the activities in the Kanban is in here. This is a high one. It's in the must-have categories. So make sure you do this. The second one. Are you still able to be compliant and meet data integrity requirements? Make sure the product owner works with business owners, let's zoom in a bit, business project managers, and potentially internal customers to define product release requirements. With business development and marketing to understand and support the go-to market strategies. And with IS and other departments to ensure that the product is effectively supported after release. Well, there you have it. That's basically product management that you're doing here in a very organized way, and all the activities that need to be in place when you do product management to stay compliant and meet data integrity requirements. If I open it up, what items are to be included in the training requirements, make sure we cover that. It's related to GXP, our main topic, and it is related to the swim lane project. The other thing I can do here is I can double click on this one, Here, look, here comes a job role that's related to GXP that I can ask this question of. And while I'm talking to that person, might as well ask a couple of other questions that are relevant to that job role. And I can do the same here. Supplier quality assurance analyst senior. Let's see what that person what other kind of other questions get asked of that person. Here we go. What is the funding source for collaborative projects? What items? This one are proper security metrics set up and communicated to your executives to drive security decisions. And oh, look at this. What are the ideal storage conditions for oxytocin injection and other products? As you can see, medical, that's where GXP comes into play a lot as well. So we have these types of control questions in there. And it's being asked to supplier, quality assurance analyst, senior. Very detailed and very helpful to figure out what you actually need to be covering here. Now let's have a look at question number 3. Question number 3. Are changes to the system controlled according to its change management process? Verify that your process is reviewing and approve quality plans, support investigations to provide root cause analysis, and ensure effective corrective actions are taken. Sounds like a change management plan to me. Make sure that you have that in place, the change management plan, and let's unclick that one. And controlling question here is, have the vendor's disaster recovery plans been tested? Good question to ask. Sometimes we simply forget about that. We're reliant on our vendor. How are their disaster recovery plans, and have they been tested? Are they related to what we're actually doing? And you can actually, what's our impact on our organization? And you can actually see other job roles: manager quality, quality improvement manager, data and reporting specialist, that relate to this question. So with this, and if I open up all the question balls as well, let's do that just for fun. So I open up the question balls and ask other questions of them. And now bring the whole thing in view. So these are the 3 most important questions I need to be asking in my organization when we're dealing with GXP. The 3 balls, you can pause this, print it out, put it on the wall, look at it, and make sure that people in your organization understand what it is. These are the 3 most important questions to ask, and the activities that I need to have in place for GXP in my organization. Now, when I can go further when I want to have a look at the most important questions to ask, I believe there's 48 in there. Let's limit it to 400, so the 48 pop up. These are the 48 most important questions to ask. The questions that you actually need to be asking to be successful with GXP in your organization. They're all down there in the link. Just I can highly recommend you go to the link, you play around with the Kanban. All the information is in there. All the details are in there. This also goes out in my daily email that I send out to all my LinkedIn subscribers, over 4,000 right now. And they get a daily email of what the most important things are to ask. And with this, I can do same as what we did before. I can just double click and see how everything's connected and what pops open and what comes up. So it's really helpful for me to make sure that we're covering everything that we need to do in GXP in our organization. So those are all the priority questions. I wanted to show you as well before we leave the related. I'm going to look up the command for that one. The related subject areas. What other areas do you need to be focusing on? So I told you that some of them that came up here were. See there, the big blue balls, the small blue balls. See, I find this always very interesting as well, because this gives me an idea of what realm the topic at hand plays in. So GXP is related to all these types of topics, and therefore these are relevant to have a look in as well. Into as well when you're dealing with quality assurance issues. I see a lot of ISO coming up here. The GXP itself, IT policies, input validation, information governance, MuleSoft, Docker, Industry 4.0, quality management system, obviously. Post-implementation review needs to be done, continuous quality improvement. So all related areas that we definitely need to focus on and where they come from. So for instance, if I click on vendor risk management, warrant that your staff is responsible for inspection, management processes, for information systems, and engages in preparation, support, and follow-up activities for Inspection readiness across GXP areas. So definitely make sure your vendor risk management is in place for that one. Management activity, it has a high priority. It's a must have. So really helpful as well. This from a different way of looking at it. What kind of activities are important to do with GXP? What are the related activities? Now, final one I wanted to leave you with is just have a quick look at the job roles that are related to GXP that are touched by GXP. Let's see if I can easily find it because I find it always really interesting to figure out where it is. Job roles. Let's go. Job. There we go. Job titles. Job titles. Who needs to know the answer to the question? So, what kind of job roles do you usually have in place when you're dealing with GXP? And how are the job roles related? What kind of questions do they have? Let's zoom out a bit so you can see there's a lot of job roles that we have in the Kanban below and in the database itself. You might recognize yourself in there, your own job role, or someone you know in your organization. But these are the job roles that we definitely need to be having in our organization when we deal with GXP. These people can answer the questions related to the critical capabilities and make sure that the activities in the critical capabilities are actually taking place. So as you can see, there's quality performance engineer, quality improvement team leader, quality engineering specialist, director, IT quality and compliance, all roles, real roles in real organizations. What these Kanbans are used for as well, to figure out what are the activities that people need to do in my organization when they deal with GXP. What are their responsibilities and how do we ensure that these responsibilities are delivered? So, as I said, this is really helpful in an organization as well to figure out what kind of job roles with GXP you need to be doing and what accountability and responsibility needs to be in place. All the Kanban below, I can highly recommend. Go there right now. Don't hesitate. Click on the link. You'll find the full Kanban there. You can play around with it, sort, filter, view, have a ball with it. I trust you will have a great time with it. I had a good time here. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again tomorrow. Bye.